So early this morning, the Cleveland Guardians made another addition to their roster, and that was the signing of Jakob Junis, a right-handed pitcher who was on the Reds last year. Many Cleveland fans probably remember Jakob Junis as a member of the Royals. He wasn't very good back then, but I'm here to tell you that he's kind of turned his career around. Let's look back 2 years ago when he was a member of the San Francisco Giants. This was sort of Junis's breakout season. He pitched the most games he had ever pitched before. The catch is here that he kind of made a transition from being more of a swingman, starter, and reliever to being more of a reliever. And he was able to lean into throwing his slider more. As you can see kind of from this graph right here, this shaded out area is the average slider. He has a lot more break on his slider than the average pitcher in the MLB. Lots of great stuff on that slider. And really allowing him to be in the bullpen more allowed him to throw that slider more, and he kind of increased across the board. He was above average in pretty much all his expected ERA, expected batting average, and really the important stats down here is chase. He's not walking people, he's striking people out more than usual, and he's not letting people hit the ball hard off of him. Now we jump forward to last year with the Reds, and also briefly with Milwaukee before he was traded for Frankie Montas. His actual stats actually looked a lot better from 2023, despite his expected stats looking a little bit worse. His ERA was about 2.7, down from the 3.8 it was in 2023, which is a little bit puzzling how he did that with everything else looking a little bit worse. But as you probably noticed, his walk percentage is really, really low, in the 99th percentile, which pretty much is meaning that he's making batters put the ball in play over everything else. The Guardians, especially as of recently, have been very, very good defensively. I think that Cleveland could be a place where a guy like Jakob Junis could thrive making players put the ball in play. Now, he may struggle with giving up home runs, and without Andres Gimenez here, the Cleveland defense could get a little bit worse this year. But ultimately, I like taking a risk on someone like Jakob Junis, who's proven to be an above average, definitely a serviceable pitcher in the MLB. Well, I guess he hasn't proven it, but he's shown it in the past 2 years, so there's something there. I think the biggest question with Junis is, do the Guardians view him as a reliever or a starter? You can look at his 2024 pitch mix. He relied a little bit less on the slider than he did in 2023. As you can see, 62% to the 45 he threw in 2024. And he started 6 of the 24 games that he played in, compared to 4 of the 40 that he started with San Francisco the year before. Now, even though Junis had started his career as a starter, his recent success has really been in the bullpen due to his ability to throw this slider more often. Now, the wrinkle here is that the Guardians paid him a decent amount of money. They have not a lot of depth in starting pitchers right now. I think that Jakob Junis might be a guy that is going to try to toe that line of being a swingman pitcher, maybe even the 4 or 5 starter at times for the Guardians. I know it probably doesn't fit a statistical model, but the Guardians are a weird team, and I have a feeling that it just might work for them. Now, do I expect Junis to be effective as a starter as much as he was as a reliever? No, not really, but I do kind of see him as a guy that could go out there and get you maybe 1 or 2 times through the lineup. And with the lack of starting pitchers that the Guardians have had, especially last year, I think that would be a very valuable asset to the team. I look back at a guy like Xavier Curry, who is no longer with the Guardians, and I think that Junis could play a very similar role to what Curry was doing last year, being sort of a flex guy in the bullpen as a starter, really not going to be relied upon as a workhorse, but can go out there and get you 3-4 innings when you need it. And especially early in the season with Bieber gonna be out with injuries, there's a lot of starting pitchers that are kind of towing that line of maybe gonna be the 4th or 5th starter. And I think guys like Joey Cantillo, Tristan McKenzie, Ben Lively, Vince Velasquez, Slade Ciccone, and Jakob Junis are gonna be in competition for those last 2 starter spots, but I think they're gonna be more in competition for a rotating cast of flex 4-inning starters that can also pitch out of the bullpen. I like this role especially for Ciccone and Junis. I think that those guys will be at the top of the list. I'm just hoping that Tristan McKenzie can come back and regain his form. Or maybe Joey Cantillo breaks out and pitches every game like he did against the White Sox last year. But let me know, guys, what do you think of the signing of Jakob Junis? I personally like it a lot. I'm excited to see kind of how this works out for the Guardians. I think they're going to figure something out, and I think it's going to be something a little weird.